Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another Hammer Productions night. Tonight I will be reviewing The Brigand of Kandahar, released in 1965. Directed by John Gilling, based on his own original story and screenplay. Starring Ronald Lewis, Oliver Reed, Duncan Lamont, Yvonne Romain, Katherine Woodville, and Glyn Houston. Now, this film is set in the 1850s in India, with the British occupying a fort in a place called Kandahar. Now, the Brigand of Kandahar of the title is referencing a man named Lieutenant Robert Case, as played by Ronald Lewis, who is a mixed race character. His father was a British officer, and his mother was Indian. And he has been having a scandalous affair with one of his fellow officers' wives, Ilsa, as played by Katherine Woodville. Now, none of this is shown. We are giving all of this story through exposition. We are introduced to Elsa in one scene where one of the fellow British officers is telling her that she needs to stop this scandalous behavior. Then, when we are finally introduced to Lieutenant Robert Case, he is coming back from a mission that he was on with Elsa's husband, and of course, Elsa's husband does not come back. He ends up being captured. So, because of all this being exposition, we, as an audience, have no reason to root for and get on the side of Ronald Lewis's character of Case. Now, that's not to say that Ronald Lewis gives a bad performance in here. It is just that when most of your plot to develop your character is sloppy exposition, it doesn't really make your character that intriguing. And Duncan Lamont's character of Colonel Drew dislikes him through what we've seen, and eventually has him court-martialed through accusations that he left behind his fellow officer, and that was an act of cowardice. And because we don't see any of this, we don't know if Duncan Lamont's character is in the right with this, or whether or not, Ronald Lewis is being screwed over in this. So John Gilling in this one, because he doesn't detail some of this stuff early to set stuff up and relies on this exposition, it really does hurt what could have been a really intriguing film here. And Duncan Lamont as Drew is really good in this too. Just like Ronald Lewis is really good in his role. And this is only the third film I've seen with Duncan Lamont, being Scarlet Blade was the first, and Devil Ship Pirates was the second. And each film I've seen him in, he is like a chameleon. He just has a way of coming up with a different look and a different style for a character in every single film he's in. Now, I might have seen Duncan Lamont in other films prior to these three films that I've seen here. But because he's such a chameleon, I probably didn't even recognize him in those films, because he's so good at just blending in and becoming the character. So a real testament to him as an actor. After he's court-martialed, Case escapes thanks to some help from his supposed servant, who secretly was on the side of Eli Khan, the leader of this group of brigands that are against the British, played by Oliver Reed. And he gives a really great performance. He usually always does. He hardly ever lets me down in a film. And he is a strong point in this film. He has a sister in this named Ratina, played by Yvonne Romain. And I love Yvonne Romain, and I love the fact that her and Oliver Reed were in something else after Curse of the Werewolf and Captain Klieg. But much like Curse of the Werewolf, I think she was cast in the wrong role. Curse of the Werewolf, she was cast in the role of Oliver Reed's character's mother. And I think she should have been playing the lover instead in that film. In this, she's cast as his character's sister, this vindictive, manipulative character. And to be honest, I think Katherine Woodville, who's playing Elsa, would have been much more adept at playing this vindictive character. All you got to do is look at scenes with her. The look on her face, you don't get that with Yvonne Romain, so she doesn't really carry this character the way that Katherine would have. So I think those roles should have been flipped in this film, in my opinion. Another character that really stands out and I really liked was Glyn Houston's reporter character of Marriott. Now he is introduced like midway into this film and really kind of bridges things between Drew and Case as characters. And it's through him that we actually get some moments where we see some really cool stuff with Ronald Lewis as a character. Now, near the end of this film, we have this big climactic battle that happens. And the battle itself is pretty good, and that is because most of that footage is from another film called Zarek. And when that footage is just used, that's fine. But it's when they're trying to superimpose footage of Ronald Lewis's Case and Duncan Lamont's Drew as being a part of this battle and riding into it, when it's apparent that they are sitting pretending like they're riding on a horse in front of a screen that is showing the footage of the battle. Those sequences do not look very convincing at all, and it doesn't help this film. So, my final review of The Brigand of Kandahar. I am going to give this film a 7.8 out of 10. This was a missed opportunity, I think, by John Gilling. I think he could have really made this film a really interesting character study had he actually showed a lot of the stuff early and got us really invested in Case as a character. But what do you think of this film? Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. And, as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. As a Dark Knight Fan Plus member, you have access to something on the page right now where you can submit a movie, TV show, or ranking video of your choosing, and when it goes live, it will be for all Plus members to watch prior to it coming available for all other members. So, if you want to get interactive, Now's your opportunity.
Well, that's it for another Hammer Productions night. If you missed last week's Hammer Productions night, check out the link up here to get caught up on that one. Or if you missed any of the other Hammer Productions night, be sure and check out the playlist right here to get caught up on any of them that you have missed.